Good morning. My name is Patrick Miller. I'm the judge of the Adams Superior Court, and I am running for re-election this year. I've presided over the Superior Court of Adams County for the last 11 plus years. I'm a lifelong resident of this county. I was an attorney representing all kinds of individuals in the court system for almost 18 years before I became judge. And I was the first public defender for Adams County. When that office was created, I was approached by the judges at that time and asked to basically assume those duties, which I did for approximately 9 years. Over the past 11 years, as the judge of Superior Court, I've handled and addressed approximately 50,000 cases. That includes criminal, felony, and misdemeanor cases, small claims cases, civil, traffic infractions and ordinance violation cases, as well as dissolution of marriage matters, protective orders, mental health commitments, to name some of the caseload that comes through my court. During my time on the bench, I've had, honestly, what I feel are numerous accomplishments, several of which involve the rehabilitation of criminal offenders. A major accomplishment was the creation of the Adams County Drug Court. This was created about 5 years ago. It'll be 5 years in October. This is a specialty court that is approved and certified by the Indiana Supreme Court to address a very select criminal population, individuals who have committed felony criminal offenses that are non-violent in nature, and that their crimes are somehow directly involved or related to a drug addiction or abuse issue. And this is an alternative to simply incarcerating these people or placing either in the local jail or even in the Department of Corrections. It is an extremely high supervision, substantially more than somebody would normally get if they were placed on probation or placed on home detention, or even if they got out of jail or prison, were placed on parole. They are seeing individuals anywhere multiple times a week. Case managers who are similar to probation officers 1 to 2 times a week. Therapists for a range of typically 2 years, 1 to 2 times a week. Coming to court at least once a week, at least at the beginning, and never less than monthly, for the judge to review how things are going and to make changes to their supervision and their treatment to make sure that they are getting the best supervision and care they possibly can to address what's going on. Drug court takes anywhere from 14 to 24 months, so always at least a year and 2 months to 2 years in length for somebody to get through it. And it takes a small population. We don't put a lot of people in drug court because drug court's not for everybody. We've had 22 graduates to date, and at a savings to the county of over $800,000 in simple incarceration costs that would otherwise have been incurred by putting these people in jail for the sentences that were not executed as a result of this. This has also saved not only the taxpayers' money, but it has actually saved lives. Most of these people are addicted to methamphetamine or fentanyl or heroin. It's rare that we see somebody coming in just because of a marijuana problem or an alcohol problem. It's normally something that is a much more potent drug that is normally something that can fatally kill somebody. So we are very thankful that we have been able to make changes in people's lives and improve these people's ability to function in the community, because these people who are in my court system, whether they're in drug court or otherwise, are members of our community. They're our neighbors. They're our children. They're our parents. They're our friends, whether we know it or not sometimes. I have also helped establish community corrections, and I didn't establish community corrections, excuse me, but I've helped steer community corrections now for well over the last 10 years, and well over the last 6 years I've actually been the president of the board, the advisory board for community corrections. Community corrections does home detention, which is an alternative to straight jail incarceration. It gives non-violent offenders the ability to serve their jail sentence at home if we don't think they're a risk to themselves or their community, and we can monitor them. They can be ordered to stay in their home and monitored to make sure they stay in their home, except to go to work, or to go to their counseling or their therapy or their meetings or appointments, and still service debt to society, while in the process still being able to pay their way and support their families and maintain some semblance of normalcy. I also oversee the probation department. The probation departments in all counties work for the judges. They're part of the judicial system. So people who are not sent to jail or not placed on home detention will typically, after being found guilty of a criminal offense, be placed on some kind of court supervision, such as probation, where they do see a probation officer anywhere. Typically it's once a month, twice a month, and to make sure that they are, again, doing okay, that they're not committing new criminal offenses, that they're not struggling. It's not to catch them screwing up, it's to help them get back on their feet and get back into a law-abiding lifestyle. Recently, I shouldn't say recently, it's been a while now, we rewrote the rules of probation. They are virtually identical between the two courts in their uniform. We rewrote the rules of home detention again, so monitoring of home detention is virtually identical between the two courts. We, back when I started to be a judge about 12 years ago, brought video conferencing to Adams County. Video conferencing is, we have cameras in the courtroom that link to our local jail, that link to the Department of Corrections prison facilities. So when we have inmates who are incarcerated but yet need to have court hearings, and defendants in criminal cases have a right to be present for their court hearings, we don't have to take a sheriff's deputy off the road and require them to transport from our jail or somebody else's jail or one of the Department of Corrections facilities across the state to bring them to court, then to supervise them while they're in court, then to take them back to that particular facility, which puts everyone at risk, because we're potentially putting these people back out with limited, basically, supervision at that point in time, and officer possibly in charge of them, whereas, if they're in jail or they're in prison but they're on a video, there's no chance of escape, there's no chance of interaction with other people or hurting somebody else. And we've had this in effect. This has been a great savings financially to Adams County, Indiana, and I'm proud to have been a part of getting that established, and we are looking to upgrade our system, especially in the COVID environment we're in now, to allow other people to participate by video, not just inmates who are incarcerated, but possibly people who don't have transportation or are too sick to come to court, or live many hours away but need to be involved in a case where we can simply link to them on their computer or even on their cell phone potentially, and have them participate in a court hearing, where before this was not allowable. The Indiana Supreme Court has recently allowed us to do this, and we are moving towards that with the assistance of county government. Many years ago, I established with Judge Sugar a uniform bond schedule between the two courts for people who were arrested on criminal offenses, to give jail the ability to set a bond based on a schedule approved by the courts to allow people to bond out. And this has been in effect for many years now. However, very recently, the Indiana Supreme Court has imposed on the entire state what's called Criminal Rule 26, which is called pretrial release. The Supreme Court, based on our Indiana Constitution as well as the federal Constitution, agrees that incarcerating people pretrial who are presumed to be innocent, not guilty of their criminal offenses, is not fair to a large portion of people who may not otherwise be at freedom or liberty while their charges are pending, because they simply maybe can't afford to post the bonds that are otherwise typically set by the courts or the jail's facilities. And so we have implemented pretrial release to have each person arrested in Adams County interviewed and screened on a basically a testing screening system, and if they qualify, the judge at their first hearing can potentially release them on some kind of monitored release to make sure that they can go back and still, again, support their families, hire their attorneys, go to work, whatever it may be, and yet come back to court and yet maintain the safety of the community and the people who they are interacting with. In Adams County, people who are charged with violent offenses or are dangerous or have a history of being a flight risk don't don't typically get pretrial release, but people who otherwise would qualify do. We switched over, we've continued under my tenure as the judge over the last 12 years to improve the technology in the court systems. We went into a new statewide case management system that links not only my court to circuit court in Adams County, but my court to courts across the state, including the Supreme Court, so we can share records, information, documentation through the computer systems so we know more about the people we're dealing with. And we can set hearings that won't conflict with another court or another jurisdiction. And we also have instant access to know when we have somebody walk into our court whether they have warrants out from other counties or other cases than the one they may be on. This was implemented last year and continues to be a phenomenal success. It has simplified the filings of paperwork. We don't have papers being filed in paper form anymore. It's electronically filed with the clerk's office through the computer system. The judge and the court staff see it on our computers. We issue out orders on our computers and then send those back out to the people. We have the right and the ability now to send text messages to people who have court cases to remind them, you have an upcoming court case, so they do not miss because they forget or they didn't realize what day or time it was. And this is, again, has been a huge savings of the county because one of the biggest issues with court cases is that somebody doesn't show up, but they're required to be there. And all that does is then postpone the case for another date and time and slows the process down. Since the COVID pandemic has hit, this Indiana Supreme Court has required all the counties, all the courts in all the counties to put a plan into effect of how the county courts were going to address and deal with the COVID pandemic. The governor's executive orders on social distancing and restricting access to the buildings and such. We had to put specific orders and plans together that the Supreme Court of Indiana approved. And then the Supreme Court of each county appointed a presiding judge, a judge who would be in control of dealing with the pandemic on a county level for the court systems. I am proud to say that the Supreme Court chose me to do that, and I have been very pleased, although that has been a huge labor-intensive position to hold. I'm pleased to have it, and I've been pleased to carry that out. My court is a court of high volume. What that means is that I have many cases that come through my court every single day. Court in Adams County, or the Superior Court in Adams County, is open at 8 o'clock every morning. We close at 4:30. We do break for lunch from 12 noon to 1 p.m. But otherwise, we are in court. We are open for business. And we move, again, a number of cases through the court system every single day. Somewhere on the vicinity of about 4,500 cases per year, to put things in perspective. In addition to my duties directly as the judge of Superior Court, the judge of the Adams County Drug Court, one of the overseeing judges for probation, the president of the Adams County Community Corrections Advisory Board. I'm also the president of the Adams County Drug-Free Adams County, as I misspoke that, organization, which also, again, is an organization created by the Governor's Commission of Indiana to address and try to deal with the drug and alcohol problem that may be present in our local community. Every county has one of these. I'm the president and have been for many years of that particular organization, and even when I've not been president, I've been on the board of directors now for at least the last 12, if not longer, years. I am also helped establish the Adams County Crisis Intervention Team Initiative and on its board of directors. The Crisis Intervention Team, or CIT, is a specific training certification that we can give to law enforcement officers, EMTs, medical emergency personnel, probation officers, community corrections officers, drug court case managers, and bailiffs and court security officers. to be able to readily identify individuals who may be suffering from mental health issues, and then to basically intervene and seek out help and treatment and assistance for them, as opposed to possibly simply having these people arrested, incarcerated, and taken to jail, and then locked up for things that may be a mental health issue as opposed to some kind of criminal activity. I also serve on the board of directors for the Fort Wayne Children's Foundation, a charitable foundation that assists not only Adams County, Indiana, but roughly 9 to 11 counties in the northeast region of that, Indiana, for children who may be suffering child abuse, neglect, molestation, homelessness issues. And I've been on that board now for the 3 or 4 years prior, and am the treasurer of that particular organization at this point in time. I'm a member and have been of the local Decatur Rotary Club. And I'm also, at the state level, I am one of the judges who are on the Probation Rules Committee. This is the committee set up by the Supreme Court for the governing and supervision of probationers, individuals who have been convicted of crimes who have been placed on some kind of probation supervision. And we write the uniform rules for the state departments of probation. I likewise previously served for 2 years on the Problem Solving Court Rules Committee, subcommittee. This was a committee that wrote the rules and the procedures for problem solving courts. Problem solving courts are like the drug court I spoke about earlier. We deal, and I deal directly and routinely with the Indiana Department of Corrections, because individuals who come through my court sometimes get sent to the Department of Corrections, sometimes they're already at the Department of Corrections when I'm dealing with them on a case. So I deal with the Department of Corrections, I deal with the Department of Mental Health very routinely, and we seek out cooperation, collaboration with them. In fact, we also get grants from some of those organizations to assist us in some of the programs we run. Drug court in Adams County doesn't cost the Adams County taxpayers anything. It's completely grant funded, and anything that's not grant funded is actually paid for by the offenders who may be a part of that. We are doing the same thing for the Adams County Pretrial Services. I'm seeking a grant that's available specifically for that, to make sure that we can afford to have an officer in capacity to be screening people in jail to see whether they should be left out pre-trial while their charges are pending, instead of being incarcerated and having to post a surety bond. We continue to look for other ways to assist the community through my court, and are always open to ideas and suggestions. As I indicated, I'm a lifelong resident of Adams County, Indiana. My mother and father are Andy and Jackie Miller. My brother Adam is a long-term attorney of this county. I have, again, been an attorney since 1991. I practiced in private practice and as the public defender for almost 18 years before I took the judgeship 11 plus, almost 12 years ago. I've held that job ever since then. I'm a graduate of Adams Central High School. I got my undergrad degree from Indiana University, and my law degree also from Indiana University. I am a graduate of the Indiana Judicial College, which is a continuing education series that was set up by the Supreme Court for judges if they wanted to pursue additional educational opportunities, which I have. Every single year I attend special training classes that are offered by the state for judges, and maintain well above what is required of judges in this state, in part because I love to learn, in part because every time I go to one of these is a learning experience that teaches me something I did not know before. I'm the proud father of 2 children, Annika Miller, who was a freshman at Purdue University, Fort Wayne, and Cade Miller, who was a 6th grader at Adams Central Middle School. I am very appreciative of the position I hold. This is a labor of love for me that I have never regretted, never doubted for 1 second, 1 minute of my career, and I wish to continue to serve the citizens of this wonderful county that I live in for a long time to come. I appreciate your support, and I look forward to your vote in November. Thank you.